For Chinese New Year, they get all these famous actors and comedians together and they do a little show, and one of the comedians was like, I was in a hotel in America once and there was a mouse in my room, so I called reception except I forgot the English word for mouse. So instead I said, you know Tom and Jerry? Jerry is here. Jerry is here. My Chinese teacher once shared this story in class about someone who went to the grocery to buy chicken, but they forgot the English word for it, so they grabbed an egg, went to the nearest sales lady and said, where's the mother? When I was a teenager, we went to Italy for the summer holidays. We are German. Neither of us speaks more than a few words of Italian. That didn't keep my family from always referring to me when they wanted something translated because you're so good with languages and you took Latin. I told them 100 times I couldn't order ice cream in Latin. They ignored that. Anyway, my dad really loved a certain cheese there made from sheep's milk. He knew the Italian word for cheese, formaggio, and he knew how to say please, and he had already spotted a little shop that sold the cheese. He asked me what sheep was in Italian, and of course I had no idea, so he just shrugged and said, I'll manage, and went into the shop. 5 minutes later, he comes out with a little bag, obviously very pleased with himself. How did he manage it? He had gone in and said, Bah! Formaggio! Prego! I was done for the day. This made me feel better about every conversation I had in both Rome and Ghent. I once was at a German-American church youth camp for 2 weeks, and predictably, we spoke a whole lot of English. When I phoned my mom during week 2, I tried to tell her that it was a bit cold in the sleeping bag at night. I stumbled around the word in German because, for the love of God, I couldn't remember the German word for sleeping bag. Yeah, so it's like a bag you sleep in at night? And my mother must probably have thought I lost my mind. She just sighed and it was like, so a Schlafsack, yes? Which is literally sleeping sack. The German word is a basically one-on-one translation of the English word, and I failed it at my mother tongue. Big. My former boss is Italian, and she ended up working in a lab where the common language was English. She once saw an insect running through the lab and she went to tell her colleagues. She remembered it was the name of a famous English band, so she barged in the office yelling there was a rolling stone in the lab. I'm Spanish and have been living in the UK for a while now. I recently changed jobs and moved to a new office, which is lost somewhere in the Midlands countryside. It's a pretty quaint location, surrounded by forest on pretty much all sides and with nice grounds, full of pheasants. I was pretty shocked when I drove in and saw a fucking pheasant strolling across the road, calm as you please. That afternoon I met up with some friends and was talking about the new job and the new office, and for the life of me I couldn't remember the English word for pheasants. So I basically ended up bragging to my friends about the very fancy chickens we had outside the office. Best thing is, everyone understood what I meant. I love these stories so much. Picture a Jewish American girl whose grasp of the Hebrew language comes from 10+ years of immersion in biblical and liturgical Hebrew, not the modern language. Some words are identical, while others have significantly evolved. She gets to Israel and is riding a bus for the very first time. American, kama mamon ze? How much money, but in rather archaic language. Bus driver, shte zuzim, 2 zuzim, a currency that's been out of circulation for millennia. That's hilarious. I am officially scream laughing at my desk from that last one. Oh my. Oh yeah, and one time my Latin professor was at this conference in Greece and his flight was cancelled, so he needed to extend his hotel stay by 1 more night. Except he couldn't speak a lick of modern Greek, and the receptionist couldn't speak English, or French, or German, or Italian. He tried all of them. Finally, in a fit of inspiration, he went upstairs and got his copy of Medea in the original Greek. You know, the stuff separated from modern Greek by 2,500 years. He found the passage where Medea begs Jason to let her stay for 1 more day, went downstairs and read it to the receptionist. She laughed her head off, but she gave him the extra night. All of these, mwah. But the Medea one is hands down the best. Our Japanese class found it funny that in common terminology, food isn't very distinguished from specifically rice until it was pointed out to us that in English, meal is loose, roughly ground grain. Humans be like, staple crop. In German, a Christmas tree farm is called a tree school. And I thought that was very cute and funny until I remembered that we buy our plants at a nursery.